Okay, can you see this okay?
Yes.
All right. All right, you already heard this part. And this part too. So one of my clients who I've worked with for about 4.5 years, he shared a quote with me yesterday. He said, with gratitude, optimism becomes sustainable. And he was quoting Michael J. Fox. So we both really liked that. I don't know about you all, but my family at Thanksgiving, every year we had a tradition where my Uncle Jim would pick something and read something inspiring before we sat down for our meal together. And there would be like 20 of us at the table. And each year he would pick something different to read. So I just wanted to share these two quotes with you. Sorry, it's a little hard with like everybody down the side and I can't see half my screen. So this second quote I just really loved. And if we were having a big Thanksgiving gathering, we'll have a virtual one here with you today, but this is what I would choose to read because unfortunately Uncle Jim has passed on. But I think he would approve of this quote. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. It turns problems into gifts, failures into successes, the unexpected into perfect timing, and mistakes into important events. It can turn an existence into a real life and disconnected situations into important and beneficial lessons. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. And that's by Melody Beattie. Does anybody have any favorite inspiring quotes that you want to share? No, I'm putting you on the spot.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
So it's by Vivian Green, and I actually need to look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. So go ahead.
I don't know where this quote came from, or maybe it's just like a saying, but I have so many quotes that I like. But my favorite thing to say lately is, imagine what could go right.
Nice. We'll wait for Gina to look up her quote. Does anybody else have a saying or something that inspires them and helps them feel grateful? Maybe a mantra.
I have one actually that I just saw today on Facebook, but it was, this is not the year to get everything you want. This is the year to appreciate everything you have.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice. I love that, Shannon.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, that's really great. So the one that I really love by Vivian Green is life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And I feel like that, like I actually have that printed and I see it every day because I really love the idea of like splashing in the muck, you know, like real life is really messy. And I feel like I was taught that everything, like keep a lid on everything, where I'm like, my life is more fun when I'm just really honest about how I'm feeling, even if it's not ideal for other people.
Love that.
I think being authentic is so important.
Could you repeat that, Gina? Just the quote.
I'm actually going to put it in the chat just because I'm a quote girl and I just think it's easier. Plus, I don't think I'm the best reader out loud because I get so excited and then golden retriever.
Bill, I see your hand up.
Yeah, some of you may have seen me share this recently. It just has resonated with me so much. Comes from a book called Love is Just Damn Good Business. Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. And it just goes along with what drives my passion, being able to support people. And I'm grateful for the support that I get from others so I can do that. So.
100% agree with you on that. Anyone else have some inspiring quotes they want to share?
A new mantra.
Whoops,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So this is Marcy. So I had to go to the other room because I forgot, but I actually have this one in my bedroom. And it says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Eleanor Roosevelt.
Nice.
So I looked at this one. I had this one at my work when I worked in corporate for the longest time. And so I had it like right in front of me. And so I also have it in my bedroom too. So it's like right in front of me. But I'm like, what does that one say again? I was like, I always look at it, but I forget.
I love how you have the visual reminder and that you can see it every day. And Gina has hers where she can see it every day. Awesome.
That's
Okay.
interesting. Recently, my husband, Michael, my partner, Michael, had said that he was feeling anxious leaving the home. You know, with everything going on, he's not normally one that wants to leave anyway. And so he actually got a big affirmation wall 3D that he puts by the door, and it says "Seize the Day," because he's always so happy once he leaves and has an adventure that he needed that reminder. So it's just interesting how powerful words are. Like, I knew affirmation and gratitude were really important, but I feel like I've definitely gotten like a PhD in it this year.
That's a good way to look at it. And we're going to talk more about how words are powerful a little bit later on, because there's some studies that show exactly that.
So I had a conversation with Danielle Isaac yesterday. She gave me a new mantra, and everything is working out for me.
Nice. Anybody else? Okay. I dove into the research just a little bit because I'm kind of a nerd that way. So I'll just share a little bit about what I found, if that's okay. So some of the major things that studies show about gratitude are that it unshackles us from toxic emotions. It helps us even if we don't share it with other people, like if we just write it down maybe. The benefits do take some time. Folks say to try it for about a month, but it does really work. It does have lasting effects on the brain. And also people who use "we" more often than "I" tend to be happier than those who use "I" more often. So I thought that was interesting. Anybody else have maybe some interesting tidbits about gratitude, or maybe you have real life experience that you could share that kind of backs up this research?
I definitely agree. Like, I used to try and write something or a few things I was grateful for every morning when I woke up, and it totally changes your day. And I also was thinking about recently, for like a year, I was in this happiness study where like 3 times a day I'd get a text message with a survey asking me how happy I was. And very similar to recording your gratitude, it was the same thing essentially. When someone asked you like, how happy are you right now? It's like, oh, I am really happy. And you think about the reasons why. It totally changes your day. Like it's like magic.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Every year I do this thing that I send to just my very closest friends. And it's my list of things to be grateful for from the prior year. And this last year I did one for the prior decade. And I'm so glad I did that, because there's this great list of all these things to be thankful for before this year hit. And it was like, there were some tough months there. So I would pull it out every so often and remind myself of all the great things. But I agree, like writing it down and focusing on it totally improves your mood.
Yeah, 100% agree. Okay.
I think this has been an interesting, I just think it's so fascinating. It's like a topic I'm actually like in the works of, like, because I'm finding where I have the most like joy, like if I choose to take care of myself or I choose not to take care of myself. And it's like a form of gratitude for like, okay, so when I work out, I feel amazing. When I have a glass of wine and watch Netflix, I feel drained and emotional. Like there's a time and place for everything, but it's like, if I work out then watch Netflix, then watch wine, then that's the ultimate. But it's really interesting to watch, like, why am I in a bad mood? Who did I just talk to? What did I just take on? And just like, it's so interesting because it's like the we thing is so true. Like, we're doing great, or we have this versus I. It's just very fascinating.
Yeah.
I love human behavior.
I love how you're studying yourself like a scientist and kind of taking that step back and paying attention, just the noticing. It's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I have like 5 of my favorite tools and tips to share, and then I would love to hear any tips you guys have as well on how to feel more grateful. One thing I have is a smile file. And Deb, I don't know if you have yours accessible too, but I learned this idea, I can't even remember originally from whom, but it's a file that I keep. So like if I have a day where I'm feeling just kind of down and I need to boost my spirits, I'll pull it out and I'll look through. And I have like my favorite cards and letters, or maybe someone wrote something, nice about me. And so I'll pull it out. I'll go grab it. It's just right over here in my filing cabinet. But this is a card that one of my team members drew and painted by hand. And she sent this at the beginning of COVID when all of a sudden we had no clients anymore and things were really scary and we didn't know what was going to happen with Big Rocks. And so she just sent me this little message. She's like, keep on rolling. And so that just meant a lot to me. So I keep that on my desk. Mm-hmm. Deb, do you have yours?
Yeah, I actually have 2, and mine are binders with page protectors. And yeah, mine are also cards. I love having pen pals, and or if I do have pictures. And I also was a Montessori teacher's assistant for 2 years, and so I have a lot of poems and drawings made by children in here. Yeah, it's really nice. I love. It just always boosts your mood to look at like all these beautiful drawings people made for you. Highly recommend.
I love the binder idea. Like, I have a file and then like I pull one out, but yeah, I definitely like the idea. It's the revalidating, right? Like, it's like, oh yeah.
And I like, my mom is a big like scrapbooker photo album gal, but for me a page protector is easy because you just drop it in and there's no like sticking things anywhere. It's just super easy.
Mm-hmm. And then you can take them out too if you ever decide you want to maybe make a trade-off and add something new and take something out.
Agreed.
So a different direction I've been really grateful for, and I'm Michelle. I don't know a lot of people here, but I've had time to start meditating again. Meditation is something I did in my past for 10 years and have been trying to get started again on it for 30 years. During COVID, I've finally been able to dedicate daily time to meditation, and it's just made a profound difference in my life in every area, and certainly gratefulness. And looking at this opportunity to serve people, because I do placement and help people find care settings, still working in my office, and just I have a whole new attitude, I think, about being able to really focus on the gift that I give to people through my work and how much it nourishes me. So I just can't say enough about the value of a regular meditation. So
Wonderful. I meditate for 10 minutes each morning, and there'll be a morning here and there where I miss it, and I can just tell because like my mind is spinning. I'm not, as clear, as focused, as energized. Even just that 10 minutes makes a huge difference.
Yeah, you miss it. It's like spiritual exercise, or like when you don't work out with your body, it's the same thing. When you don't have that depth that you touch every day, that sort of inner spiritual core of sustenance. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Michelle. I'm so glad that you were able to get back to it. I think there's been some unexpected gifts coming out of this year for sure.
Right. Haven't been able to dance like I love to do as much, but well, you can always do it in your kitchen,
True.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I thought maybe I'd learn TikTok or something, get on there and do
Make some dance videos.
yeah.
TikTok is so fun. Oh my goodness. I have to set a timer. It's like addiction for me. 10 seconds of thousands of people at one point in time. Yeah.
So sorry.
We don't have to raise our hands, but if we're talking about tools and ideas, I'd like to share something that I've been doing, and it's called a 10 wins list. And often, several days a week, at the start of the day, I'll take a pen to paper and just write down 10 wins from either, recent, anything I can think. It can be something simple or something really significant. And I've been doing that. I started that January of 2019. And just recently, I was like, I ought to read what I wrote. So I started. It was January 28th, 2019. And I read several pages. And when I write the 10 wins list, I can physically feel myself change. And reading back over the list was just as impactful. And reading page after page was just like, wow, dude, you have a lot to be grateful for. You're helping a lot of people. You're doing a lot of things. So anyway, from learning that 10 wins list was really a significant thing in my life, and continuing it is it's working out pretty well for me.
That's awesome, Brian. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I have a routine that I do every day. When I first wake up in the morning, I do my gratitude, and then I do my meditation. And then in the evening, I do my 10 win list. So that's something I do every day, and I do write down my 10 wins every day. So it is amazing when you look back on all the things that, you feel like you've accomplished.
Yeah. Terry and I were in a 12-week mindset coaching group together.
Yeah.
And we learned that in that group, and I'm really glad that we did.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing what you learned with us today. Appreciate it. Something that I learned from a friend of mine named Sam years ago was having a fun list. So she had this list on the side of her fridge, and I was trying to figure out what these things were, because they were like Michelle said, dance in your kitchen, or eat kebabs. They were just random things. I couldn't figure out how they were connected. And she told me that was her fun list. So anytime she was feeling blue, she would go to the list on her fridge, and there were maybe 30 things there that made her happy, and things that were just kind of quick and easy and simple to do. And she'd pick one and then do it. So I don't know if anybody else has a list, or if you did have a list, what would go on your list?
I've got a fun file I started a couple of years ago. So if there's concert tickets or a dinner or something from a vacation, it goes into that file, and it's just titled fun, and I check it out every once in a while or add something to it. But
Cool.
Marcy was going to say something, and then Marcy, you muted yourself. So what?
I got it all back. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm correct now. So I was just gonna say, now this could go either way, but if you're feeling down or you're feeling like you can't move forward, for me, it's a matter of perspective. So I know someone who went through a horrible traumatic event, and is my cousin, and she came out of it amazing, and she's doing great. And so I think of that, and when I think of like my problems or whatever, and I'm like, well, that pales in comparison to what happened, right? And so if she can move forward and be doing so awesome, like I just need to get up and stop whining, so so to speak. But if it's going to make you sad, right? If like thinking about something bad and traumatic makes you sad, it might take you a different direction. But for me, when I start to feel like defeated or like I can't move forward or just blah, and I try to think about her and how, how it's a matter of perspective. Like if things aren't as bad as you think they are, they could be a lot worse.
Definitely changing perspective. I mean, that's like, as I'm going through a coaching training program, and it's all about perspective. It's huge. Being able to shift our mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have tools or tips or a fun list?
I used to have a fun list before COVID. Whitney knows this. Every Sunday would have an Oasis day where I would turn off my phone and my laptop. I was not allowed to have any screens, which often when I first started doing it, there would be like just hours where I would just be sitting on my couch like, well, I don't know what to do now. And so I made a list of things to do, and I had to like write out, like, you can go to the library, like here's a recipe for bread, like here's all the cafes you like, and here's their address. But I forgot about that. So this is reminding me, like, I can still have a fun list even though I don't do Oasis Day anymore. I'm definitely going to do this after this meeting is done.
Yeah, it's usually every Monday morning, Devin and I have a meeting, and, oh, how was your weekend? She's like, it's great. I did absolutely nothing yesterday. And I'm like, wow, it just blows my mind still. Like, what does that feel like to do nothing for a day?
It feels really good.
My goal is to get there. So
you will.
it's inspiring.
Like I said last Friday, we can declutter our brains too.
Absolutely. Our calendars, our brains, our to-do lists. Yeah. We can right size anything and everything.
One thing I started doing like 18 months ago that's on my fun list, and it's not going to sound fun at first, but I really get obsessive with like G.I. Jane and like Demi Moore's character. And like, I always think like, I want to do pull-ups. And so I was like, well, what's stopping me? Right. So I started doing like 20 push-ups a day, and then it moved to 50. And then I started doing 2 pull-ups a day. And now I can do 10 pull-ups in a row.
Wow.
And I can do 50 push-ups in a row, but not at the same time. That's like too much. But what's so interesting about it is when, I'm in emotional business, and if I get off the phone with someone and it's like there's projections sometimes on me from different jewelry stores, I do push-ups, and it takes my mind completely off of it. And then it also makes me feel extremely accomplished, because I find that I'm sitting in this like wallow of, why did this happen? It's so avoidable. And then I go to, I can do anything. I just did 20 push-ups, and I'm wearing, my jeans, right? And so it's interesting because I started out just because I had set that goal. And then now it's really fun. Like, it's really fun to know that I have that. And it's like, if I miss a couple days, I can do 9 in a row. So it's interesting because I've actually used that analogy for my business. Like, oh, it's just a muscle. Like, I just need to build my boundaries. There's a fee for that muscle. And it's like, I didn't start out being able to do 10 push-ups, or, you know what I mean? So it's just really fascinating. The correlation is that it's like the business muscle of all the things. And it's interesting that I would find push-ups fun, but I think for me, it's just something that I was always told, oh, well, 3 gets you an A in high school. And I was like, well, I want to do 10. So kind of fun.
Overachiever. 3 push-ups and you did 10. That's so awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Gina. I would love to see a video of you doing the pull-ups too. It would be very inspiring.
It is on my TikTok. It just has a really funny bouncing noise. But I can send you the G.I. Jane one. No, I'm just kidding.
Anybody else have fun activities?
Playing with my kitty.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I lost my dog right after COVID started, my dear Bella. And so I waited several months and finally got a kitten. So.
Oh,
I'm single and live by myself, so it was really great for companionship. So he's feisty and cantankerous and very lovable. He's really
Fantastic. Did we get to meet him?
Yeah. Ugh. He was just teeny tiny when I got him, but here he is. He's one of the Russian blues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous.
His name's Scout. Scout the cat. Sleepy.
Thanks for introducing us to Scout.
Mhm.
One other thing that maybe some of us here do is have a gratitude journal. I kept one for about 10 years, and then the last couple years I got off track, and I noticed that it makes a really big difference. Even if you just write down 3 things a day that you're grateful for, I noticed that it just changes my frame of mind or my perspective, as Marcy said. So I'm curious if anyone else here has tried having a gratitude journal and how you feel like it's helped you.
Yeah, I feel as we a few of us mentioned before, like writing down just little things you're grateful every day makes such a huge difference. Going back and rereading them is like very powerful. And I like that when you write down your gratitude each day, like you can't just say the same thing over and over again, and then you start to get creative. Where you're like, wow, I'm grateful for like this beautiful yellow mug that makes me happy every morning. And it really opens up your life to record every day something you're grateful for.
I've got a gratitude jar. I've done that for a while, and it's a nice little reminder of something that happened. I can jot it down. It's a mini 10 wins list.
Did you write it on paper? Put it in the jar?
Yeah. So I've got a vase or like a carafe on the kitchen island with a pad of paper, a pen, and a pair of scissors, and then I just write I'm grateful for, semicolon. And last night it was visiting with friends. There was some live music. There was some folks hanging out at the pizza place. So it was kind of like go around and support as many businesses as I can before they get locked down. And it was just kind of really spur of the moment. And this morning I wrote down that I was grateful for those things. The 10 wins list makes me have to focus a lot more because it's not necessarily easy to come up with 10 things. But the grateful jar sits on the counter, and I've just recently recommitted to it, but it's right there where I run into it, and I make a point of doing it because I know it's worthwhile.
So do you ever read them?
That was my question too.
Yeah, it's been about 2 months since I emptied about a year's worth and read through them.
Oh, okay.
And it's nice. What I've started doing is dating them too. Just maybe it would help me recall the memory a little bit more, or something specific. And I mean, it's just on a tiny little strip of paper that I can fold and drop in the jar. It's,
So you fill it up with gratitude. That's nice.
Filling up the gratitude jar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice visual affirmation to do it too, because I'm all about the visual. So I like that.
Yeah.
It's like our beans of gratitude with networking.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Well, I do gratitude every day, but I don't always write it down. And I realize I need to start doing that, writing it down. I do it every morning. I pick 3 things that I'm grateful for every day. And I do not say the same thing every day. I do try to get creative too and not say this, be grateful for a lot of different things. So writing it down will help me really remember. So that's a great idea.
For years I didn't say blessings before meals, and that's always just a time where you're going to take some time for yourself, and it's really nice to recall the things that you feel blessed about in your life. And I've started doing that again, which to me is a kind of an automatic time to say thank you, but it's always nice to say it throughout the day too. I mean, our lives are the moments that we recognize are passing as they pass to be grateful for, you know. So
Absolutely.
This is what my gratitude jar, my grateful jar looks like.
Nice.
Kind of empty because I just restarted. Then I have this little pad for my 10 wins list.
yeah, that's
And,
great.
yeah, just some stuff to try to keep things, cultivate some positivity, and yeah, keep the spirits up. And
Some of us belong to a group called networking, and at the end of every meeting there's a big jar and everybody goes around and shares something that they're grateful for. And so we'll put a stone, you know, one of those colored rocks that you could get that go in the bottom of vases and things like that. And so we call them our gratitude beans, and try to fill up the jar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's also a nice visual thing, and just that clunk of when it hits the jar is kind of satisfying to hear too.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any other visual tools that you use? Or maybe not visual, maybe auditory or tactile?
I got a CD in 2012 by Dr. Susan Jeffers. She's the woman that authored the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And so she has a CD, and I listened to it almost, well, not as much. So I listened to it every day for 2 years, and she says things like, "You have the choice to create a beautiful day." And it's like, and then the next one is like, "You can handle anything. You can handle losing money. You can handle you losing someone that you love." Like all this stuff, and then it's in this really calm voice. And I was like, it really seems to be like what I tell myself is exactly what comes true. Like if, you know, like, oh, I'm having a bad day versus I'm actually having a bad moment, but it's not going to ruin my day. Just those little shifts from like what, you know, but I find that I'm definitely an audio learner, because then when my head is saying, who do you think you are? Susan Jeffers' voice pops in saying, you are kind and loving. You know what I mean? And so it's just really interesting, because it's like I really think between writing, listening to it and seeing it, they're all equally important for different reasons. It's just really interesting.
And it's nice that you know what type of learner you are and what sticks with you and what works best with your brain, and that you found the tool of that CD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I know what my roadmap is, and I just want to like hand it to people when I meet them. Like, okay, so just so you know, these are my trigger words, and then these are no, I'm just kidding. But you know, it's like, you know, it's just like learning that. It's like now it's like, oh, it's a little easier.
Anybody else have tools that they want to share? I've got a couple more here. Oops. Still on the theme of writing, writing a letter of gratitude, whether it's to yourself or to somebody else, whether you mail it or whether you choose not to mail it. The studies show that just simply writing it down has a long-term lasting effect on our brains. They did a study of college students who were seeking mental health or help from a mental health professional. And they had them write letters of gratitude for, I think it was a couple letters a week for about 12 weeks. And at week 4, they started to really feel much better versus like the control group that wasn't doing any writing, but that was still seeking counseling. And then after 12 weeks, they noticed just a dramatic shift. I think only 23% of the students actually mailed the letters, but they still, all of them experienced this tremendously positive effect. So I'm curious if anyone here has written a gratitude letter and whether or not you chose to mail it.
This isn't quite a letter, but one of my favorite things to do at parties when those were still allowed was to play the compliment game, which is where we would all, especially if it's someone's birthday, we would all say things we were grateful for that person for. So it's not writing it down, but it feels really good to say out loud, like, these are these things that I care about in regards to this person, and hear what everybody else says too. And it just is like a bunch of warm, fuzzy feelings.
Awesome. We did something like that with our Big Rocks group, where I asked each team member to say positive things about everyone else on the team, but they could be anonymous. And then I made, it's called a Wordle. You put the words into this app, and it creates a graphic using the words. And if a word's used more than one time, then it's bolder or bigger than other words based on their frequency of use. And that was we read those out loud at our annual team appreciation dinner, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of warm fuzzies, like you said, Deb.
Yeah, that was super fun. I loved that.
I know one thing that I have started doing fairly recently is sending a card of gratitude to my new customers. And it makes me feel good, and I've gotten feedback on that. It makes them feel good too, that I'm acknowledging that. So I realize how important it is to let people know that you're grateful for them.
Absolutely.
Devin, what was the game that you guys played?
The game I made up is called the compliment game, but the thing that Whitney did is it called a Wordle, Whitney?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wordle. I think you can find it online.
Yeah, and there's free Wordle apps that you can use where you just type in the words and then it makes this pretty graphic for you.
Mm-hmm. But the compliment game, you had to come up with one or two things about someone.
Yeah, you all sit in a circle and you pick one person and everybody compliments them, but at the very end they have to compliment themselves, and then they pick the next person.
Oh,
nice.
And I'm gleaning some ideas for Christmas when I get together with my family. We need some ideas.
Let us know how it goes.
You might like the next one, Brian.
Either that or an intervention. I don't know. We'll try the compliment game.
Compliment intervention. Okay, so my last little tool that I wanted to share today is, the name comes from one of my clients, but the concept is mine, the Smile Dial. So some of you have maybe seen the Wheel of Names in various meetings. So we're gonna pop out of here and we'll play this game for a little bit if you're up for that. Okay, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
This kind of follows along the lines of a compliment, except we're not maybe picking a specific person, but I put these different categories and I thought we could spin the wheel and then everybody could go around and say something that they're grateful for, like with that category. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and spin. And this is a free fun app too. This might be a good family holiday thing. Speaking of family. Anybody want to go first? What's something that you're grateful for in relation to family?
I can start. So I'm grateful that my father is going to turn 96 years old this coming Wednesday.
Wow.
Oh.
And I'm also grateful for having two of the most wonderful sisters in the world. I really hit the jackpot on the family category in this lifetime.
That's awesome, Michelle, and happy birthday to your dad.
Yeah, thanks.
Claire?
I am grateful during this pandemic, my family, which is kind of spread out across the country, we have instituted a weekly family game night on Zoom which has turned out to be much more fun than I would have anticipated. And it's a great way of staying in touch too with the next generation, like my nieces and nephews, and seeing what they're up to. So I am grateful that we're doing that during this time. And who knows, it might stay after this time.
That's a lot of fun. May I ask what kind of games that you play over Zoom?
Yes, there's all sorts of different things we're doing. So there's one that you have to pay. It's called Jackbox TV, but it has some hilarious games, and you play on your phone, and then it comes up on the screen. So so that's what we're doing. And then we're also doing like good old fashioned bingo, where one of my sisters has a bingo, you know, those, what do you call them, a cage with the numbers and stuff. And so she'll call, and beforehand she'll text us our bingo cards that we have to play with, and then, you know, we write it down and then we can mark it off as it goes. And then of course, since it's my family, you have to buy in, so it's like $3 a card or something like that we Venmo in. And then, you know, usually it's like one of my nephews or something that always then ends up with the money. But it's really fun. It's really great, and it's kind of multi-generational, and it's been a positive thing.
Thank you for sharing. That's really awesome. I hadn't heard of the, you said Jackbox?
Yeah, Jackbox TV. And then the other one that is free, and I don't know if it now means I have like Russian bots following me or something, it's called Scribble, without the E, so Scribble, and then .io, and it's hilarious. It's kind of like Pictionary, and that's really fun. So I'd say those are what we're mainly doing, and I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Anybody else have something related to your family that you're grateful for? Harold, I saw your hand up.
I'm grateful my family, extended family, is still COVID-free and employed. I just had a conversation before this. Another one of my ex-employees' family is hit with COVID and they're all in the hospital. So very grateful the family is still not there.
We're grateful too. Marcy, I thought I saw your hand.
Yes, so I'm grateful because almost a couple of weeks ago, I was in Michigan for a while, and that's where all my family is located. Majority of all my family is located in Michigan. So even though we were distanced, you know, I was able to spend some time with them, and it was really invaluable. And it made me realize kind of how much I missed everybody. And so it's really hard right now. It's spending time with like my 90-year-old grandparents, and it was good to see them. So I told my grandma, I'm like, I'll be there in the spring. So, and she was getting all emotional, and I'm like, stop it. I'll be there in the spring. So will you. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know. But it's a very emotional time. But it's something that I definitely needed like right now. So even though it was, you know, traveling and all that is a little bit risky, it was worth it.
I'm glad that you got to see your family and spend time with them.
Yeah. Even from afar.
Michelle, were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. For me, as some of you know, my mom had brain surgery to treat a tumor about a month ago. And so we are extremely grateful that it turned out that her tumor is benign. So that's a huge relief. Yeah. And just having my brother's support, like we really just came together and supported each other through this, and had the love and support of extended family and of the Big Rocks team too. It was just very grateful to be able to be there for my mom. Anybody else before we spin the wheel again and see what comes?
I'll say this really quick. I don't have anything I'm not grateful for about my family. I have incredible parents, wonderful sister, wonderful in-laws. I feel very, very lucky, and I'm thankful for them all the time.
Awesome. Bill.
Yeah, I'll just say real quickly, along the lines of what Claire said, we've done several Zoom meetings with my late mother's side of the family. And instead of games, though, they tend to be very politically oriented, especially one third cousin who is, I won't say which side, she's just connected with the national committee, and she's on a lobbying area. So she's very well connected. So that subject comes up a lot. So, but it's really nice to see everybody. And it's usually across at least 4 time zones. Sometimes we get somebody from Europe as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It sounds lively.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and spin again here. Okay, this one's kind of random, but I thought of it, so I put it down. Are there any scents that you're grateful for?
I make my own cleaner with vinegar and water, and I recently had the idea to put lemongrass essential oil in it, and it makes my house smell so good, and I'm really grateful to myself for having that idea.
So I would say I'm grateful in terms of scents. And one of the things I do in the evening is, as I said, I'm single. I always make myself a really nice dinner. So there's always that smell of home cooked meals. I do pretty much everything from scratch. So in the realm of scent, that's something that I'm very grateful for. Feeding myself well.
Oh, that sounds lovely, Michelle. Marcy.
So I have an alternative to that one. I get really excited when I smell that somebody else is making something to eat other than me. So like my daughter has been into like making cookies, and she'll like make stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna eat something I didn't make. It just tastes, for me, I don't know if it's just me, but it tastes so much better when I don't have to make it. I mean, I don't mind making it, but it just tastes that much better. So I've been really excited if I come into the house and I smell something delicious, and I go investigate what it is. So I'm grateful for that.
When you're cooking it yourself, you're not as aware of it as somebody else. Absolutely.
I heard once that when you're cooking for yourself, you get used to the smell, and since that's connected to taste, you like become desensitized to it, and that's why it's like leftovers and someone else cooking tastes so good.
I like to use lavender essential oil before bed. I'll just put a little bit on my wrists and behind my ears, and just smell it. It's very calming and soothing before sleep.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. Like that.
Here's a not great smell, but we have a puppy. So we brought home 2 weeks ago. So I'm very thankful for that smell. My our dog passed away in April. So it's nice to have all the dog smells, good or bad, around the house again.
We hear you. We have a lot of wet dog smell this time of year, but I'm grateful for it. Anybody else? Anything related to smell? Here we go. Oops. Wait a minute. Close to the last one. Let's try this again.
Okay, good.
Ooh, wild card. Anything you want.
Yay!
Anybody?
Lately I've just been thinking about, I feel really grateful that I just feel safe all the time. And I think it's really easy to forget what that feels like because we get used to it. And I think it's just because I live alone. I'm like, I'm glad I feel safe living alone in this house.
That's an important one.
Grateful for things like this. It's just like to normalize speaking our truth and like, you know, ways to pivot and shift and be kind to ourselves. It's not something, it's nice to know. And to reiterate that we're worth talking nice to. Again, that wasn't really something that was like a family cultural. So it's kind of fun to know that it can be rechanged and reshifted. And other people are doing it all the time and it's not strange.
Thanks, Tina.
For just having, you know, COVID has really changed all our lives. And a lot of people are so depressed over it. But for me, I'm grateful that I have had the time to spend working on myself and, you know, making a lot of improvements in my life. So I'm really thankful that, you know, I've gotten the time to do that.
And it really shows, Terry, just the energy that you project. It's much different, I think, than when I first met you pre-COVID. You just have this glow now every time I see you on Zoom.
Thank you.
Good new lighting.
It's the lighting.
So I'm actually really grateful for the fact that in spite of COVID, my business has been really booming. I'm really quite surprised. Perhaps part of it is just the idea of manifesting and focusing my vision and purpose, and then the universe brings you the opportunity to help people and make a difference out there. But I've been quite surprised actually that things have really been quite, I mean, busier than usual for me. So certainly the, you know, where people are moving is different. Tends to be people who have to have care, of course, not the people who are just want a lifestyle change to move into independent living, but it's people who need care. But I've been very grateful for the fact that I've been able to help so many people and feel, you know, secure myself financially. It's been really a gift.
So glad. And we at Big Rocks too are unexpectedly, like, we're busier than we were pre-COVID. We brought on 2 new team members, so
yeah,
it's a really good problem to have. It's exciting. And we just help so many people now, and it feels really, really good. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I really appreciate everyone being here today and sharing your wisdom with everyone here. Next month, I'm very excited to announce that Gina is going to be our guest speaker at Wine and Wisdom. It's going to be on Wednesday, December 2nd. And Gina, will you give us just a little snapshot of what you're going to be talking about?
Yes, I'm going to be, after 18 years in the jewelry business, I'm going to be talking about the shameful secrets and stories of people's jewelry and the emotional side of jewelry and the way I see it, and the great stories that I've been fortunate to witness as I've been helping people for the last 20 years.
Thank you. I'm really excited about that because I've heard a few of your stories and they just blow me away. And you're a terrific speaker, and I know we're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot from you. So thank you in advance. And for 2021, we're going to be keeping Wine and Wisdom. It was something that was born out of COVID, out of a way to be able to, you know, offer something and stay connected with people and to challenge ourselves just to, you know, be more creative. So for 2021, we're going to keep it, and we're going to be embarking on a journey of right-sizing from the inside out. So each month we'll have a different theme, and we'll literally start on the inside and work our way to the external. So we might start with, you know, values and needs, and towards the end of the year, work towards maybe capsule wardrobes or talking about clothing, external things like that. So if you have any specific topics that you would like to hear about that are related to right-sizing from the inside out, please let me know, because we're putting our programs together for next year. So we're really excited to share that.
Would you like us to email you or put it in the chat of topics?
Either way, we'll go ahead.